Hello and welcome back to FM21. We're back with Watford FC and Mending the Model. I'm not happy, guys. And I'll tell you why I'm not happy. It's because I'm a Watford fan. Being a Watford fan is really not easy. So I'm recording this just a few days after it was announced that Vladimir Ivic was sacked from Watford FC. Some poor results recently definitely went against him. But it's just clear to me that there is something seriously wrong with Watford FC at the moment. And in my opinion, there's too much player power at the club. Now, obviously for us on this save, that has not been too much of a problem, thankfully. But this save is about mending the model that the Pozzos have put in place and fixing the club as accurately as possible. And if we're going to try and fix this model properly in this game, we've got some tough decisions ahead of us. Now, in my opinion, there is a rotten core at Watford FC within the players that we currently have, and there's three in particular that are causing us problems at the moment, in my opinion, and they are Andre Gray, Troy Deeney and Etienne Capoue. Now, obviously, Andre Gray we have already got rid of, and good riddance because I'm utterly fed up of him in real life. He's broken lockdown rules twice now, maybe 3 times, but despite this, he kept being selected by Ivic in his matchday squads. Frankly, I'm sick of him, and I hope he goes in January in real life. We've already got rid of him this time, so no need to worry here. Troy Deeney, the captain, or the supposed captain, because I don't think he's really been acting much like a captain in real life. He seems to be more focused on his new job as a talksport pundit on the radio. I mean, if I was manager, I would certainly be putting a stop to that if I could. I don't want players smack talking about the team on the radio for everyone to hear. Of course, in game, he's been pretty good, really, not misbehaving, a couple of decent performances as well, and probably the strongest striker in the squad. But, in my opinion, is the biggest problem at Watford FC in real life. He is the leader of the dressing room, and as I said, there seems to be something terribly wrong in the dressing room. Every time a manager does something that they don't like, they seem to down tools and so on, and obviously I can't have that here. I'm meant to be taking this team all the way back up to the Prem and beyond, so this is a bit earlier than I thought it would be, but I believe I'm going to have to try and get rid of Troy Deeney in the January transfer window. We're currently at the end of October, so we've got a little way to go yet, but essentially I'm going to try and phase him out of the squad, and I'm going to try and do the same to Etienne Capoue. Now, Etienne Capoue is not a troublemaker like Troy Deeney, really. The problem with him is that it just looks like he cannot be bothered at all. On his day, if he was actually trying, he'd probably be the best player in the Championship by a reasonable distance, but he is not playing anything like to his full potential. He just can't be bothered. In real life, he scored a terrible own goal against Huddersfield at the weekend, and yeah, just the laziness. I can't be doing with it. Obviously been a good player for us so far in that attacking playmaker role, but like Troy, I'm going to try and phase him out of the squad with the idea of selling him in January. It's not really the end of the world. Both these players are in their 30s. We would be looking to get rid of them maybe at the end of the season or the next season or something. They're both on pretty decent wages that could maybe be spent elsewhere in the squad, and we'd have to move them on sooner or later. But to try and stay as realistic as possible, it's time to get rid, I think, and I will be phasing them both out of the squad, which means that neither of them will be in the starting lineup at today's game against Bournemouth, who are currently top of the league. An important game, this one, must do well, and without 2 of our best players, it's going to be a challenge, but it is what it is, and I think it's time that a manager at Watford address these problems, and I'm going to be the one to do it because I have the balls. But anyway, back to the game. And we have 3 matches to catch up on this time, along with a whole bunch of transfer news. The summer transfer window that was delayed and pushed through until October or whenever it was has finished, and we have signed a couple more players last minute just to use up that budget that we have. And I'll introduce them as we go along, as they make appearances in the matchday squad. So last video we played games against Luton and won, and then we played the Carabao Cup 4th round game against Reading, which we won on penalties after a pretty lacklustre performance. And of course our next game after that was actually the league game away at Reading. I was hoping for a much better performance this time, and thankfully we delivered a 4-2 win. Some very good performances in the team here. Slightly disappointing from Capoue and Sarr, who we obviously expect quite a lot from. A decent game nonetheless. We did dominate. I changed the formation back to our 4-2-3-1 to really get at them, as we just didn't do enough in the last game. Dominguez Quina came back in attacking mid, had a good game. Both Kabasele and Vinicius Jr. had brilliant games. Mitchell, Glazer, Troost-Ekong, basically the whole team played really well. And Vinny opened the scoring 15 minutes in. Quina with the ball to Deeney, who plays Vinny through. Loads and loads of space, basically a one-on-one with the keeper, and a nice calm finish there. 10 minutes later it's Kabasele with the goal, Glazer with a great ball in, Kabasele at the back post, a good set piece that, we'd been working on that, so that's good to see. So 2-0 at half time, but the second half was when it really kicked off. Puskas got his goal 58 minutes in, Richards on the ball here, sends it to Semedo in the middle, Swift, really nice passing move that. And Puskas, wow, it just sort of crept in at the near post there. Keeper probably should have done a bit better. I expect better from Foster, but there we go. And that was 2-1. But thankfully we were able to make our dominance count, and Dominguez Quina got his goal. Some really nice passing play between the whole team here. Saad, Chalobah, Vinny all involved. Glazer there has a shot blocked, falls to Vinny, and Vinny lays it on a plate for Quina. Very nice and unselfish as well. But we weren't finished scoring yet. João Pedro got in on the act 84 minutes in. Mitchell on the ball. Good tackle, but he still emerges with the ball, beating 2 players. Lovely cross in, and Pedro with a nice header in the top corner. 4-1, but perhaps a bit of complacency crept in. Reading were able to get a last minute goal. Ejaria on 90 minutes. Neves here spreads the ball out to Moore. Moore with a good cross in, and yeah, Ejaria beat his man and slotted the ball nicely past Foster. But by that point it was too late, and that was a pretty comfortable win really. Just like the last game, Reading did cause us some problems, but thankfully that switch to the attacking formation did pay off on this occasion. However, the next game against Derby had us register our first defeat of the season. Really disappointing, this one. The whole team underperformed, as you can see. Hughes, Vinny, Pedro, Cabasele, all pretty disappointing. Yeah, one to forget really. Derby weren't really any good either. It literally just came down to a penalty to decide this one. Wayne Rooney stepping up to bury it in the bottom corner. Foster went the right way yet again, but just couldn't quite get there. Now, you may have noticed we've got a couple of new players in the squad. We have a couple of youngsters from South America, right up the Pozzo street, these signings, and I'm very pleased with them both as well, predicting bright futures here at the club. Starting off with Manuel Ugarte, a defensive midfielder or a central midfielder. Quite a well-known youngster this in the Football Manager world. Again, highlighted by our scouts, which was the plan all along. I want to listen to my scouts. I'm not trying to use any prior knowledge to this whatsoever, but a no-brainer really. We only paid $1.5 million for him. Really good stats already at only 19. Obviously going to develop into a top player. Considering what we'd recently been saying about Etienne Capoue, Ugarte could be a good replacement, maybe in that advanced playmaker role. I'm going to play around with the midfield quite a lot. We may move Will Hughes into that role instead. I still like Glazer as our defensive midfielder, breaking the play up. So maybe we'll play with a box-to-box midfielder and a deep line playmaker. There's lots of options really with the midfield that we've got, even without Capoue. We'll play around a bit and see what our strongest lineup looks like. And our other new arrival is Rodrigo Marquez, brought in from Argentina for 1.6 million. Not quite as polished as Ugarte and Pedro, but still a lot of potential here. Really good stats. Could play as a forward or a winger. I've brought him in immediately really to be our backup right winger. He's left-footed, so I think inverted winger tucking inside is going to be a good option. Really good passing stats, off the ball, movement. Very determined as well, which I like. Sort of makes up for the bad work rate. But again, for 1.6 million, definitely worth the gamble. He could be an excellent player. He did want to go out on loan. We'll have to wait and see if he's happy with that, or I may have to try and find him a loan just to keep him happy. It was part of the agreement when we signed him, but I was hoping that if he got a bit more of a chance in the first team that he'd be okay with it. We'll just have to see what happens. I'm sure there'll be plenty of takers for him to go out on loan, only on 1.5 grand a week as well. Snapped him up on a 5-year deal, definitely worth it. Really starting to get a lot of promising players here with lots of potential. It's going to be exciting. So our next game at home to Blackburn, we emerged 3-1 winners, back on top again really. This 4-2-3-1 is working really well against some of the lesser teams in the division. Absolutely dominated from start to finish. Blackburn only had 5 shots, only 2 on target as well, compared to our 15 and 12 on target. Particularly good performance from Ngakia and Troy Deeney on this one. Obviously we will be starting to take Troy out of the team a little bit. There's still a chance for him and Capoue to work their way back in the team, depending on their performances in real life. Watford have a new manager now, and if they get their act together and start really pulling their weight before we get to the January transfer window, then maybe we'll keep them around a little bit longer. But at the moment, I'm still of the opinion that we're going to need to get rid of these guys just to be as realistic as possible. And I do think that they are big problems for Watford in real life at the moment. Ugarte and Marquez both got some minutes off the bench on this one. A really good performance from the lad, and we got off to an absolute flyer with Troy Deeney scoring in just the first minute. Capoue with the ball, passes it back to Troost, and it's one of his trademark hoofballs up the field. Troy beats the keeper to it, and a nice easy goal. A good ball from Troost for once, it's nice to see. So a great start, well on top, and it was Troy who doubled our lead with a penalty just before half-time after Sarr was fouled in the box. Really calm finish there, keeper nowhere near it, a good penalty. And of course we weren't done there. Just after half-time this time, and Ngakia with the goal, Vinicius Jr. with the ball there, Quina, ball through to Sarr. Lots of nice passing play, and Ngakia comes through on the right, and a really nice finish in that bottom corner. And of course we hadn't finished the scoring there, and Ngakia got in on the act just after half time. Some nice passing play on the edge of the box here. Keener to Sarr, looking for a breakthrough, and really well spotted there. And Ngakia running in and slots it in at the bottom right hand corner. Keeper maybe should have done better, but a nice cartwheel to celebrate. Unfortunately again it looked like complacency started to settle in, and Blackburn did get a goal back. That man Adam Armstrong, hell of a player, almost did it all himself here. A great run through, back to Downing, and a lovely ball over the top. And a little dink over the keeper. A good goal, can't really argue with that. Just wish we didn't concede it. It would have been nice to have had a clean sheet. But there we go, 3-1 win. Can't complain too much. Much better performance than the game against Derby anyway. So those results left us second in the table. 3 points behind Bournemouth, who are 6 from 6. And of course, they are our next opposition. A huge game. Bournemouth potentially could go 6 points clear of us. We can't allow that. We need a draw minimum. Obviously hoping for a win. Difficult to know how to approach this one. Bournemouth are obviously a good attacking side, and for that reason I'm going to go back to our 4-3-3. Fingers crossed that we'll be able to put a decent performance in and come away with all 3 points. But before we do, still got a few more things to go over. Just before all the games we just talked about, we found out that Sarr had been awarded the Player of the Month for September. Good stuff, really high average rating for his early games, 8.27, 3 appearances, 6 goals. No-brainer really, no one was close to him, and he can probably feel a little aggrieved here, but Tyreek Mitchell came 3rd in the Championship Young Player of the Month for September, beaten to the award by Lee Buchanan, who had only played 1 game and just had a hell of a game. Doesn't seem right to give a player an award based on 1 game, but there we go. Unlucky, should have won I think in my opinion. He's been excellent so far, very happy with this loan. We did also end up coming into some money, rather unexpectedly. This was an add-on from the sale of Luis Suarez, not that one, who Watford sold in the summer to Granada. He had a clause in his transfer for an extra £500,000 should Granada qualify for the Euro Cup group stages, which they did. So £500,000 in the pocket, thank you very much. Real shame that Watford was sort of forced to sell him this summer. I was very much looking forward to having him in this team and managing him, along with Pervis Estupinan, who was also sold. Just living proof of the Pozzo Model really. Players from Colombia, Venezuela and so on, bought in for nothing, sent out on loan for a couple of years to get experience, make a bit of a name for themselves and earn their work permit before being sold on. In this case I was sold on a little sooner than I would have liked, but I can understand neither of them wanting to play in the Championship when La Liga clubs are sniffing after them and so on, so we'll just have to make do with what it is. But I'll be very interested to see how both of them develop through this game. And of course our win against Reading in the 4th round of the Carabao Cup meant that we're through to the quarter-finals, a really good achievement that, where we drew at Man City. Oh no, I'm getting awful flashbacks. Oh dearie me. So yeah, we've obviously got our work cut out for us here. Man City historically do very well against Watford. Really poor showings in recent years. Yeah, I think the best we can really hope for is just not to be hammered, and that's probably how I'll be lining up. Interesting to see Bournemouth and Norwich, as well as Barnsley, make it through. 4 Championship teams, 4 Prem teams. Could be anyone's really, and just shows how strong the Championship teams are this year, particularly the other 2 relegated teams. Bournemouth and Norwich I'm both expecting to be up there with us this season. And before I get into that Bournemouth game, we have some good news. I decided to speak to the board to see if there are any areas that we can improve in and persuade them perhaps to improve something. And they were very happy to back me, obviously due to our good start of the season, I guess. I managed to persuade them to improve the training facilities, the youth facilities, and the youth recruitment. So it's all looking really good. Now personally I see the updating of these facilities as really important to the future of the club. The best training facilities possible helps attract the best players, should we be signing some big name players, and youth recruitment and youth facilities obviously just improve the strength of the academy and how well these young players developed. We are looking to target lots of young players, of course, helping them reach their potential, and the better facilities we have to do that, the better. Right, massive game today, a really good chance to close the gap at the top and put a stop to Bournemouth's 100% record this season. So here's how we'll be lining up today. As I've said, of course, we will be dropping in both Troy Deeney and Etienne Capoue. I do so with a bit of a heavy heart given how well they've performed so far this season. They've both been crucial, but the whole point of this save is to fix the problems at Watford, and they are the problems in my eyes at the moment, so we'll just have to see how we get on without them. Ugart and Hughes in midfield alongside Glazer, Vinny, Sarr and Pedro up front. Pedro moved into that deep lying forward role. I just keep finding the strikers a little bit stranded at the top. I'm hoping that by turning them into a deep lying forward, we'll see a little bit more of them playing deeper and getting involved with the play. A back line of Mitchell, Cathcart, Trustekong and Ngakia, who performed really well the last few games, and of course Foster in goal. Of course a strong bench as well, very important. Come on lads, time to show us what you can do against a very strong Bournemouth team. And the team sheet here, two very, very strong sides. Both Watford and Bournemouth teams are filled with players that we've all heard of. Solanke, Josh King, Lewis Cook, Stanislas, Rico. I pretty much know all of these players, which is a little bit scary for a championship fixture. But I know our boys can do a job on their day. We've just got to hope that it is their day today. I don't want that gap widened to 6 points. I can't have it. And here we go out onto the pitch at Vicarage Road. And Bournemouth have the kick-off. Solanke back to Kelly. Over to Cook. The lads pressing already. Billing to Cook. The other Cook, of course, two Cooks in the team. Bournemouth lining up in a 4-4-2, pretty old school, but they do have two good forwards in Riquelme and Solanke. King as well, you'd probably consider a striker, but they're playing him at left midfield, so it looks like they could easily switch to a 4-3-3 if they wanted to. And it's Bournemouth with the throw. Rico knocks the ball forward over to Kelly. Kelly upfield to King. Oh, dribbled it right past Hughes there. And nice one too. King again. Everyone backing off him. Hughes trying to cover again. Went in for the tackle and it's missed. King's through, lays the ball back to Lewis Cook. Oh, and the shot's blocked. And now we're on the break. Here goes Vinny. Vinny with lots of space. Sarr's pelting down the right wing there. Oh, and he's been chopped down. Yellow card, surely? Yeah, that was a bad tackle. Definitely a yellow card at the very least. And Bournemouth with a free kick. It's a little bit scary. Riquelme. Oh, and it's a good one. Foster saves. Made a little bit of a meal of it. Looked like he could probably catch that, but never mind. It's out for a corner. Stanislas on corner duty today. And that's a good ball in at the back post. Solanke and Foster tips it over. Another corner. It's a little bit scary, this. That was a good ball in. Well, 20 minutes in. We've not really got going, but we have a throw. Glazer knocks it to Vinny. Vinny with the ball in. Cleared by Rico. Ugart's there. A nice ball out to Ngakia. Lots of space now. Let's have a good ball in. Across goal. Oh, and it's well over everyone. Glazer's there, however. No rush to get to him by the looks of it. Come on, look up, pick your spot. No, ball back to Mitchell. Over to Vinny. And that's a foul. No, cleared away. Ugart's there. Sarr with the shot. And then Ugart with the shot. Oh, a bit of a mess, but Begovic saves that. And Riquelme with the cross in. Headed clear, thankfully. Who's getting to that first? It looks like it's Vinny. Pedro just stood there, come on. Oh, Vinny taking it all the way himself. Go on, Vinny. Last ditch tackle. A good tackle, that one. Definitely not a booking. But Vinny gets the ball back. Oh, just walks it out for a throw instead. Never mind then. Well, we are on top of this at the moment. We've got lots of possession. We've had more shots. It's promising signs, but Bournemouth have defended pretty well. Some good last ditch tackles there. And Rico with a free kick. Into Kelly. Back to Rico. Lots of space here for them to build up from the back. Long ball forward, Trust's there. Over to Glazer. Cathcart to Mitchell. Those two link up nicely, I do like that. Ball forward to Vinny. Vinny on the left wing. Takes it past one. Yep, takes it back to create some space for himself. Ball to Pedro. Oh, and unlucky. A good save. Pretty much right at the keeper though. Foster on the ball. Over to Cathcart. Cathcart to Hughes. Over to Ngakia, a good ball. Ngakia looking forward. Still taking on his man. Back to Hughes. And a nice ball back to Ngakia. Lots of space for a ball in. And Vinny's there. And a goal! Excellent. Third goal of the season for Vinny. Really nice play that. Here we go. Ngakia on the ball. Over to Hughes. And a lovely first time ball. Ngakia with lots of space to pick his man. And yeah, Vinny loses his man and buries that home. Really nice goal. And suddenly things are looking promising. 10 minutes to go for this half and we're on the ball again. And Ngakia with a good ball up to Pedro. Pedro makes a nice run. Tries a cross, bounces off his man, but passes to Sarr instead. Sarr to Hughes. Hughes to Pedro. Nice run. Oh, and that should have been a goal really. Pedro really didn't take advantage of that at all. But he was offside, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Never mind. As it stands, we're top of the league. Joint on points and goal difference with Bournemouth. But Begovic knocks it forward. King gets his head on it. Trustekong on the ball now. Nice little pass. 1-2 with Ngakia. And a Trustekong. Hoof ball forward to no one, of course. And now Bournemouth are coming forward. It's Stanislas. Loses the ball. Bad pass intercepted by Sarr. And now we're bursting forward again. Pedro and Sarr and Hughes passing round with each other. And a lovely ball through to Pedro. Come on, Pedro with the shot. Oh, and it's hit the post. I think maybe the side netting. The game said side netting. Looked like the post to me. But another good chance. Pedro's really getting involved with this play, but just can't find the finish today. Pedro on the ball. Seems like this deep lying role is suiting Pedro quite nicely. And a nice ball through to Sarr there. Hughes and Sarr. Back to Glazer. Nice ball to Ngakia again. He's got space. Lays it back to Hughes. Didn't fancy taking his man on. Glazer spreads it out wide to Mitchell, who loses the ball to Stanislas. Nipped in there and won it, but Mitchell gets it back. Nice covering there. Making up for his mistake. Cathcart to Hughes. Back out to Mitchell again. Come on, Mitchell. Take him on, lads. Oh, and he's drilled the ball across, and it's gone to Vinny. Oh, close. Very close. Unlucky. First time shot from Vinny there, but Begovic was awake and able to save that one. Wasn't the best shot, but still pretty impressive. Bristol City are winning, and they've jumped ahead of both of us now on goal difference. And it's half-time, and we're not looking too bad, really. 1-0 up, 10 shots, 7 on target, 63% possession against Bournemouth. Can't complain too much. Really, we probably should be at least 2 goals up. Pedro's had a lot of good chances, which is a shame, but he's getting into good positions. Perhaps this deep lying forward role is suiting him quite a lot. He seems to be a bit more involved in the build-up as well, but the whole team seems to be playing pretty well. Sarr's picked up a knock. We'll have to keep an eye on that one, but so far, pretty happy. And it's our kickoff now. Pedro back to Glazer. Josh King, who's been a bit dangerous out on the left wing, is looking pretty tired. Fingers crossed he'll be subbed soon. And their right back Stacey is not having a very good game at all. Something to try and take advantage of, and Vinny certainly has been doing that so far. Very little happening at the moment. 60 minutes in, no highlights to show yet. Sarr may have to come off soon with his knock. Dan Glazer's looking a little tired as well. But for the moment, we'll just see how things are going. 70 minutes, still nothing. We've gone back to being top of the league, so Bristol City have obviously conceded. 75 minutes gone. Basically nothing of note has happened so far, but it's time to make some substitutions. Dan Glazer's played okay, not amazingly, but looking a little bit tired. So we've put on Dominguez Keener, and we've pushed him forward and swapped him with Ugart. Ugart drops back into that defensive midfield role, and Dominguez Keener adopts an attacking playmaker role. And Sarr, unfortunately, looks to be affected by his injury a little bit, so we've subbed him off for Marquez. Marquez gets another chance to impress at right wing. Very happy to give this youngster a go. Lots of promise. Wow, this is looking like a boring half of football. 80 minutes gone. Not a single highlight for the second half. Tempted to make another sub, but the team are playing well. Our most tired players are our best players on the pitch at the moment in Hughes, Vinny and Ngakia. I'm just going to let it play out. Oh, and we have a highlight. It's Rico with a throw up to Surridge. And Foster claims that. Excellent. I was a bit worried there that Ngakia was going to be too tired to deal with it, but the play bypassed him anyway. Probably some of Foster's trademark time wasting going on now. Certainly looks like it, doesn't it? And it's a long throw out to Will Hughes. Hughes on the ball. Back to Ugart. Oh, and that's a terrible pass. And Danjuma is running at him now. Ngakia well out of position. Good tackle from Ugart, making up for his mistake. And it's cleared up to Marquez. Marquez with the ball forward to Pedro, knocks it back to Hughes, and Keener on the ball now, back to Pedro. Some nice play, we're definitely eating up the clock, maybe time for one last attack. Ball back to Mitchell. Through to Ugart, up to Keener. Keener's looking up and he's played Vinny through on goal. Bit wide angle there, but cleared away by Steve Cook. And that's a corner, 4 minutes added time. And Ugart on corner duty. Ball into Marquez on the edge of the box for a shot. Oh, and what a good shot and a good save by Begovic. And that's another corner. It's Ugart again. Probably pronouncing his name wrong, but I'll try and get that right next time. And the cross is in. Surridge clears away. No Watford player near that, unfortunately. Will Hughes on the ball. Please don't mess around with it. Back to Mitchell. Time to make our last sub to eat the clock. We've got some tired players out there, but I decided to hook Manuel Ugart. Chalobah comes on instead, just for the last few minutes of the game. A strong choice for that defensive midfield role. Now let's hope we don't have a reenactment of the Watford-Bournemouth game in real life, where Watford were on top the whole game, and Bournemouth came in at the last minute and equalised. No, it's picked up by Trustekong, thankfully. And a Trustekong ball forward, of course. Mitchell picks up the ball. Over to Keena. Lovely ball through to Vinny. Vinny with the shot. Oh, and Begovic with the save. Perhaps a little more powerful. That would have gone in at the bottom corner. But Begovic with a good save there. And another corner. Keena on corner duty now. Just eating up the clock. That's it, boys. Way to grind out that win. Keena with the ball in. Headed clear. Vinny with the ball. Forward to Chalobah. Back to Cathcart. Come on, lads. Make a run. No, we're just going to eat up that clock now. Hughes with the ball out wide to Cathcart. Of course, well known for his left wing play. Back to Hughes. Over to Chalobah. Don't lose the ball, lads. Marquez, Pedro. And they've lost the ball, unfortunately. Back to Begovic. That's got to be time, surely. Cathcart picks up the ball. And there we go, full time, 1-0 win against Bournemouth. No complaints here. It looked like we were the best team. Yeah, that really was an excellent win. Could have won by a couple, really, but never mind. A win is a win. We're now equal on points with Bournemouth. Shame we couldn't have got a couple more goals. I think we deserved it. We smashed them in the overall play, really. Look at that. 18 shots to 6, 13 on target to 3, and 64% possession. A really good game, that, and very encouraging, considering that we dropped Deeney and Capu. So there we are, 1-0, cracking win that. Very important to close that gap. Could have won by more, I'm not going to complain this time though. Excellent performance from Vinny in particular. Now we know Saar picked up that injury, thankfully it's just a bruised ankle, only out for a couple of days. The next game is against Wickham anyway, probably the weakest team in the Championship. Maybe a chance for Marquez to have a start as well. Well, I'm not particularly pleased to read that Brendan Rodgers was at Vicarage Road for our win against Bournemouth. Looks like he's interested in Ismaila Sarr, which is unsurprising really given his excellent start to the season, but they're going to have to pay quite a lot of money to prize him off me. So there we are, it's been an interesting couple of weeks in game. Still very disappointed by that derby result, but the performances since I've been pretty happy with, so that's something. Hopefully won't happen again. Some good signings in the transfer window, a couple of youngsters as well that I've not mentioned yet, but we'll get to them at some point. And yeah, it will be very interesting to see how my decision to leave out Deeney and Capu from the squad and perhaps sell them in January will impact our results here. Hoping not too much. I still think we have a good squad, but at the moment we do have Stipe Perica out injured, so I expect that Deeney will have to take a spot on the bench at least. Capu should be a little bit easier to leave out with all the options that we have in midfield. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm thinking that I'll play about another month in game, and the next game that we'll show is that sort of local derby against QPR. But as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, feel free to leave a comment. I'm very open to discussing with you guys if you want to see something different, if you want to see some of our players. Very happy to show that in the next video. I will read all the comments, of course. There's not been that many so far, but fingers crossed. And if you can subscribe, I would love it. That would be great. As I've said, I am planning a lot more content. It's a little bit harder at the moment to try and fit in these videos because I have a new job, but I'm doing my best. I've got my new computer coming real soon, which should speed up the process and improve the quality on these videos, which is very important. Certainly gets a bit laggy around match day at times. So thank you very much for sticking with me through it all. I promise it will get better. I've still got lots of ideas as well for other saves. Yeah, the future can be pretty bright. I just need a little bit of support as well, so please keep encouraging me. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.